let's talk about San Francisco. Not only what happened last night, but we'll take a look at sort of the macro going forward. Are they going to be buyers or sellers at the deadline that is now looming? But as you look at this team that now slips to 4 games under the 500 mark, they're, I believe, still very much in the hunt of that last wild card, potentially getting into the postseason. Is that even a reality? Let's take a look at last night. I want to start because I'm just one of those old school. When you pull a pitcher and he hasn't given up a run, albeit, I know that you want to keep an eye on Kyle Harrison as he gets into the second half of the season because he's never gone this deep before, right? So, you're certainly going to surmise his pitch count and make sure he's going to be available down the stretch. But my goodness, 5 innings, you haven't to give up a run. Simply put, just let the guy go.
Yeah,
get him out there in the sixth.
You probably could have gotten a little bit more out of him. I do know with Harrison, though, they are going to be pushing him to a career high in innings this year. They don't want to obviously expend too much of him. I think they're probably going to want to try and cap him around 150 this year. That's just my guess. I think I don't know where he's at right now. He's probably close to like the 90 area right now. Yeah, I get that to let him go one more inning. But Dan, where things really went, because that is where things fell apart. Randy Rodriguez, you've seen promise at times this year with him, but he's a young reliever. So you're going to have nights like this. And the big problem is that there's letting Harrison go, how long you let him go. But when it comes to Coors Field, Dan, I feel like there's kind of 2 principles you need to live by. You need to take advantage of the opportunities that are given to you, and you cannot create opportunities for the Rockies. Because the Rockies, they have one of the true kind of home field advantages in baseball when they know they have that last at-bat. They know that at any moment, a rally can just kind of snowball out of nowhere, and you cannot give them opportunities. And Randy Rodriguez, he kind of let them have an opportunity, but then you go to the 7th inning, Matt Chapman has that throwing error to Lamont Wade Jr., and then right out, which, allowed the tying run to score. If Chapman or Wade, if he's able to pick that, you get out of that inning with a 3-2 lead, and we might be talking about a different game here. But the Giants also, they were 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position last night. They had I believe this was the 3rd inning. They had 2nd and 3rd with no outs, and you had Ramos, Bailey, and Conforto coming up, and you only got 1 run out of that. You got your big boys coming up in Coors Field against a very bad Rockies team. Now, granted, Cal Quantrill, he's not an awful starter. He is a guy the Rockies might be trying to move next week at the deadline. But you got to come away with more runs there. And the Giants didn't do that. You didn't execute. When you have only 3 runs at Coors Field, I'm not saying it's impossible to win. You can still win with 3 runs at Coors Field, but you're just making it harder for yourself.
You just get the feeling last night, and it was palpable, that you continue to let Colorado hang around. And when you're up 3-0 and you have those opportunities, you knew you had to cash in, and you just had the sense in the back of your head, this doesn't feel right. Even though you're up 3 runs, which means nothing in Colorado. Also, a bit of bad luck. Because my man Wisely went down the line. What could have been 2 runs. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Ricochet's off the ump.
Well, it hit off the base, and then it hit off the umpire. And it's just, the umpire just kind of gives like a, what are you going to do there? And it's just, I think Wisely said afterwards, he was just kind of laughing, like, of course that would happen to me. But, like, of course that would happen to this Giants team. It's just, you can't catch a break sometimes. And, yeah, Coors Field, I always like to believe, Dan, that when Coors Field was built, there was, like, some coven of witches that, like, came in from, like, maybe, like, Greeley or Boulder or some other, Colorado suburb. And, just cast black magic all over the field that was just meant to torment the Giants for all of eternity. It's just, I don't know what it is. It's just that ballpark, even with the success they've had there over the last few years, that ballpark is a house of horrors. And at some point, at least 1 game a year, you're going to have a game where Coors Field just rears its ugly head and just kicks the Giants' teeth in.
Well, I can tell you, quite frankly, they shouldn't be playing baseball in Colorado. It's silly out there. Seriously. That's been just an eyesore. It's been a mistake for over
that's a ballpark I really want to go to, though, because Coors Field just looks like an absolutely gorgeous ballpark.
It's okay. I've been there. It's a little bandbox. And I will say this about Colorado.
It's a big outfield for a bandbox.
What are they, like 30 games under 500?
Well, no, yeah. I don't know if you're ever going to have a successful baseball team in Colorado.
No. Who's going to pitch there? Who wants to pitch in Colorado?
I mean, the few years they have been good. Obviously, there was that 07 run. They caught fire. They were really good there.
Tulowitzki.
Yeah, that was an offensive first team. I think the only pitcher who actually, consistently ever pitched well there in any capacity was Ubaldo Jimenez.
Oh, that's right.
And that was damn near 15 years ago now.
But they still sell that place out. Well, they don't sell it out, but I mean, it's like, a good 35, 40,000.
Oh, yeah, that's why I don't know. Is that just because the ballpark is that nice, or is it just because people in Colorado just really love baseball?
What else are you going to do in Denver on a Friday night? I have no idea. I will say this, though.
There's things to do in Denver.
Hang with me here. Are you a big Denver guy?
I've never been to Denver.
Okay.
I had a layover in the airport once. That's about it. So Denver's on my list of places I need to get to.
All right. So here's my thing when it comes to the Giants. All right. And you can go right after me. And I am not a homer when it comes to the Giants. I mean, the line can start behind me if you want to throw knives at Farhan. I've done that before. I certainly didn't buy into the last couple of years. They look like a 500 team. But there is just a level of optimism, for whatever reason, I feel, with this year's team. And it might be with the infusion of youth. And I know they did that last year, but I think that their foundation is a little bit more solid this year, as opposed to last year or years prior where they were trying to intermix some of the younger players, but you had an aging Brandon Crawford, even posing. You looked around and said, yeah, this imbalance doesn't really work. Chapman, and I think the right side of the infield, whether it's Flores or Lamont Wade or Tyro Estrada, I mean, you have some pieces there, and Patrick Bailey is established as a good catcher. I have a sense that there's a kick in this team. Call me crazy, that when we get to August, and the schedule is certainly in their favor, they have, I believe, the 30th easiest schedule in Major League Baseball.
Oh, yeah, no, it sets up well for them in the second half. There's less travel. There's less games against the big boys. So, yeah, it definitely sets up well.
And I just feel as though that there's magic potentially for this team, whether it's, Estrada, who's cooled a bit, Elliot Ramos, whether it's, some of these young players that, along with this babyface kid, who's the pitcher that I'm thinking about, the Birdsong.
Oh, Hayden Birdsong? Yeah.
That they're missing right now, but you're going to get healthier. It looks as though Cobb and Robbie Ray are on their way. You hope that the bullpen works itself out. I just have two questions. If you were to buy into what I believe, because I do have this sense that the glass is half full for the Giants, and I typically don't.
Well, I feel like Giants fans just, on the whole, are a little bit more of an optimistic bunch.
I'm not, though.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's definitely a lot of pessimistic Giants fans out there. Don't get me wrong. But I feel like on the whole, there's this belief that, yeah, they can turn around. They just need some breaks to go their way. They just need to get healthy. They can still put this together. I do sense that there's some of that optimism. Nights like last night, though, are a great way to stomp that.
Well, there's two areas that sort of quell my optimism.
Yeah, what do you got?
Shortstop and the closer. Like, you cannot be a good baseball team in 2024 and not have at least a good defensive shortstop, or at least a named or a quality guy at that 6-hole. And quite frankly, the closer role right now is pretty much up for grabs.
It's been in flux a lot with Doval. Let's start with the Doval part first. My theory there is just because he led the league in saves last year.
Yeah,
he got the win in the
great.
All-Star game last year. He was electric last year. The thing about Doval is obviously there's the recurring issue of command. It does come and go at times. When he is on, when he is locked in, he's damn near unhittable. Especially when he's locating that 100-mile-an-hour sinker. Oh, it's a thing of beauty.
I think that's the operative word, is location with this guy.
It is. It's hard to throw that hard and that accurately too. But again, that's his calling card. He has to be able to execute there. I had issues with how the Giants have used him at times this year. Bob Melvin has brought him in a lot of non-save situations. And when you're a closer, like, you got to have a bit of a weirdness to you when you're a closer. We all remember Brian Wilson. I think he was the extreme there, but closers, there's a weirdness or just a difference of personality that you have to have, because you are taking on the three most important pressure-packed outs of every game when you come in. You got to be a little bit crazy to want to dive into that. And Doval, I do think he kind of has that kind of something's going on there, which you like in a closer. But when you bring him in a non-save situation, you take away that edge, you are taking something away from a close. You are taking something out of him. It's hard to manufacture that high-stakes feeling when you're coming in a 7-1 ball game. And when you don't have that edge, Brian Wilson was another perfect example of that. When he didn't have a save situation, almost like he would create a save situation.
So you don't believe in Bob Melvin saying he needs to get some work, even though it's not a safe situation. Don't mess with him.
I don't like it. No, I don't think it works for Duvall. He did that a lot early on, and he had a lot of bad outings in those non-safe situations, and I think that kind of messed him up. Bob Melvin, I think Bob Melvin's done an okay job this year, considering what he's given. If I were to make a list of all things wrong with the Giants, I don't think Melvin cracks my top 5. He might even crack my top 10. But the use of the bullpen early on, it was a struggle for Bob. I think he was struggling to figure out where guys go, what roles guys need to have. Once he kind of got things settled in, you saw the bullpen kind of right itself a little bit. Of course, that was right at the time when they had to start bullpenning a lot of games, which kind of chewed in some of these bullpen numbers here. But yeah, I think the way just all those times bringing Duvall in these non-safe situations, all those times he got lit up in those non-safe situations, that kind of gets to you. There is a point earlier in the year, I think it was, I don't know if it was the Yankees series or one of the series after. He has a rough outing in a non-safe situation, goes into the dugout, and he slams a corner on the ground. That's the kind of frustration we haven't seen from Duvall that much. And of course, now you got all the conspiracy theories. He has no friends in the clubhouse. He's this, he's that. I'm not going to speak to that. But he is, he's kind of a mercurial personality to a degree. And it's been frustrating to see him struggle this year. You got a lot of people who I think, just trade him at this point. You'd be selling low if you did do that. I would like to see the Giants try and see if they can figure out what is kind of wrong with him this year, because, damn, we've seen when he's on and how great he can be.
Yeah, are you ready to move off on him? And if so, who is it? Ryan Walker that's going to close for you?
See, I don't know if Walker... I like Ryan Walker a lot. A big thing with him, though, it's the deception. He's got that crossfire delivery, which gives a very different look when his pitches come out. There's a lot more side-to-side movement with some of his pitches there. That sinker could definitely move, though. Like, he's definitely got some gas. But that slider, though, he has to be able to locate it. It's like any slider. And I don't know if Walker's a ninth-inning guy, though. Like, he's good. I can see him maybe as an eighth-inning guy, but I don't see him as a ninth-inning guy. The fact of the matter is the Giants just don't really have any options for the ninth inning, unless they decide to move Jordan Hicks out of the rotation to...
Well, he wasn't a closer with St. Louis, though.
No, he was a late-inning guy, but he's got the stuff that he could be a closer. So that could be an option there if the Giants do decide to go down that route. Though I'm not really sure what their plan right now is for Jordan Hicks. He's got to go to the bullpen at some point. I just don't know when.
Yeah, I think I would still put in the hands of Duvall. So the second half of my question, to give me some level of security for a guy who believes that actually this is a team that can make a run. And if they get into the playoffs, as Arizona proved a year ago, as baseball has been proven over the last 10 years, that anything can happen, right? Mm-hmm. And as the Los Angeles Dodgers, who have been so underwhelming despite the payroll and despite all the superstars, have also proven on the other end of the spectrum that is no guarantee you're going to win squat. So just get into the dance and then just play 3 weeks of good baseball, and the Giants could be that team this year. Yes, I am actually going that far ahead because I don't know what it is about this team, but I do feel as though that there's a little magic still left in the bag despite the frustrating loss last night. But the other thing that sort of keeps me in check, it's not only the closer, but it's the shortstop position. And now Luciano, who was supposed to be the future, as I understand it, is playing second base in Sacramento. So is the project in terms of him playing shortstop, is that done?
I'm not sure what position they're going to have him playing, whether it's going to be short, whether it's going to be second, whether they move him to the outfield. And honestly, I'm not even sure what team he's going to be playing for. If the Giants do decide to make a big deal at the deadline to bring some sort of help in, I think
Bo Bichette, baby.
Oh, I would love Bo Bichette. My dream is the monster trade for Vlad Jr. and Bo Bichette.
Well, you don't need Vlad Jr. though, do you?
Oh no, I think you need a big bopper in this lineup to protect Elliot Ramos, to throw into that cleanup spot. Like the Giants have not had a legitimate cleanup hitter basically since Barry Bonds. No disrespect to the stuff that Buster Posey did over the years. Buster was never your prototypical cleanup hitter. The Giants miscast him as that for years. Hunter Pence handled it, admirably for a while. But the Giants,
what is your definition of a cleanup hitter?
A guy like Vlad Jr., a guy who can just kind of sleepwalk into a 35 home run season, who has that potential, has that power.
But is the park conducive to quote unquote a cleanup hitter? And the reasons why the Buster Poseys and the Hunter Pences have been able to excel, it's because it's basically what the park dictates, which is your gap to gap. I mean, the last time they had a 30 home run hitter,
it was Barry Bonds.
It's Barry Bonds.
Well,
I mean,
Elliot Ramos is on pace to break that this year right now. So
he's got 14. He's going to have to go.
He's got 16, I believe, actually. So he's on a really good home run. Dan, he's on a 40 home run pace right now, despite the fact that he missed the first month of the season. So we'll see what August does to him. The dog days, they have a way of chewing guys up here.
Yeah, he's slowed down of late.
Well, what I think they're starting to do here, and you kind of saw it a little bit last night, is they found a bit of a hole in his swing, which is if you make him chase that high cheese, upstairs, he will try and go after it. You're starting to see more teams do it now. In fact, in his first 2 at-bats last night, the first at-bat, his first at-bat and his third at-bat, but he strikes out, in both of those on the high sinker there. So teams are going to keep attacking him there. And when you got, Patrick Bailey, who I do like a lot, I don't like him as a cleanup hitter, and Michael Conforto backing him up in the lineup, it's just you're going to have no problem trying to make Ramos chase because I don't think you're all that scared of the guys who are coming after him.
What the hell happened to Soler?
He was cooking for a while. I thought he was coming around, and then the month of June comes, and he's cooking with hot grease, and now he's regressing back into Pedro Serrano territory.
My goodness, have another strikeout, my man. That is ridiculous. I mean, that was supposed to be your big bopper. I think that's just sort of
the line I always get. My dad always texts me, I've never seen Soler get a hit. It's like, dude, you watch all these games. Have you never seen it? Like, where were you in June? But Soler was cooking in June. I kind of saw it coming. He's kind of come back down to earth a little bit, unfortunately. But
well, I guess it gets back to the Vlad Guerrero. What was his high? He had like 48 home runs, I want to say, one year. I mean, I just don't think that's happening in San Francisco. And that sort of, you talk about the psyche on a closer, that sort of plays into the head of a guy like Soler. And if a guy who just wants to sit back on his heels and swing and give you 3 runs with one swing of the bat and give you 35, 40 home runs a year because that's what they do, San Francisco is a completely different animal.
But here's the other side of that one, Dan. Yeah, he had 48 home runs in 2021. He's made the All-Star team the last 4 years. He's got 15 home runs this year.
He's kind of up and down.
He got off to a slow start this year.
Yeah.
He's been on my fantasy team the last 2 years, so I've been able to keep.
And Bo Bichette, quite frankly, he's been not putting up similar numbers as he has.
No, and I don't think Bo Bichette's power would translate to Oracle Park. I could see a lot of his, the home runs that would have been gone in Toronto or bouncing off the wall here in San Francisco for doubles, which that's fine. But Bichette's a capable shortstop. But the other part of it, Dan, the other reason why you need to get a guy like a Vlad Jr. is you need the star power. You need a guy who you're just like, you need to go, you just want to see at the yard. I think Elliot Ramos, he's kind of trending in that direction. But like, this is the extreme example. But when you went to Giants games back in the day when Barry Bonds was playing there, everyone would always say until at least the 7th, 8th inning because they want to get that last Barry Bonds at bat to see what happens. And it was always, in the 8th inning, Bonds would take his last at bat. Then you just see everybody start to leave, winning or losing. That's when, because that's what people want to see. People want to see Barry Bonds. Even in the late 2010s, where the Giants were just a very, very bad team, people still went because they want to see Buster Posey. They wanted to see Madison Bumgarner. There was that fan attachment to the Brandons. You get a guy like Vlad Jr., that's star power. That's a marquee name that you could put over Oracle Park and come see Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and the Giants.
Well, I think they have more of a needed shortstop than first base, I guess is what I'm saying.
No, I mean, yes, if you're looking purely there, yes. But, I mean, I do like what we're seeing from Brett Wisely there.
But is Wisely a major league shortstop? He's like
good,
a second baseman who's converted to a shortstop.
Yeah, they do need to figure something out there. Yes, I guess if you had to pick one or the other, the shortstop is the bigger need, but first base is also a power position.
But Lamont Wade, I like him. I mean,
I like him, but not as your. If he's like your corner outfielder, I think that's better too. It's just his Lamont Wade Jr. The thing is his biggest trait is yes, he gets on base, usually through walking. Like the Lamont Wade Jr. highlight reel is bat flips after walks. And like, I mean, I'm whatever when it comes to bat flips, but like bat flipping on a walk, like there comes a time where it's just like, dude, I need a little bit more. And he's a good first baseman. I think, defensively, he's probably a little bit better than Vlad Jr.
Yeah, Vlad's not very good defensively.
No, but you can also DH Vlad Jr. But the thing is, it's just first base is a power position. You look around the league, all the best teams in baseball, they got a big bopper who can play first base. The Giants, as much as I love Lamont Wade Jr. because he can get on base, he's not that big bopper.
The Giants don't, I wouldn't think, just off the top of my head, have enough assets to get both of those guys. Maybe one, maybe Bichette, But I don't know that because you have to trade. Both of those guys, I want to say, are under team control for the next year, which is very attractive.
Yeah. No, so they would have to give up a lot. Luciano, Carson Wisenhunt, Mason Black. Listen, if you could swing that deal, I think everyone is on the table for that, except for Elliot Ramos, which I don't even know. I think it's kind of clear that he's off the table, and Bryce Eldridge down in Single A for the Giants, who is he's the next guy that we're supposed to be getting excited for here. Everyone else is on the table. And honestly, if Bryce Eldridge did get included in that deal for Vlad Jr. and Bo Bichette,
go, Bryce.
Yeah, you know what? Like I'll be like, darn, let's go enjoy Vlad Jr. now. So maybe Bryce isn't even. Maybe there is no one untouchable. I'm undoing my own take here. No one is untouchable if you're going to make a trade that big, except for maybe Elliot Ramos.
Well, I think especially when it comes to the San Francisco Giants. Because how long have we heard about these kids? It's going on nearly 5, I want to say 6 years. I've heard Elliot Ramos. I've heard Luciano's name. And all of these young picks, including Joey Part. And what did they materialize to? Absolutely nothing at this point. Well, Elliot Ramos, we'll see. The point being is that the future is now. And if a player is established like that of a Bo Bichette, if a player is established like that of a Vlad Guerrero, you can have all the potential you want, Toronto. Mm-hmm. We've been down that road. And the potential hasn't materialized to what it is we thought it could be. So we're tired of playing, well, we got a guy down in AA. We got a guy down in single. We've been hearing that for years.
It's year 6 under Farhan Zaidi. And I feel like, we're still playing the wait and see game. We're still playing that we're trying to get their game. Like, I know things weren't great when Farhan showed up, but it's been 6 years, and the best he was able to put together was a team that everything needed to go right if they were to have a successful year, and nothing ever goes right. It's at the point where it's just, I'm tired of playing this waiting game. It's like, either do it or get off the pot. Like, make this team respectable, get this team into the playoffs, 1 playoff appearance in 6 years. This is getting ridiculous. I'm tired of waiting on these prospects, which is, unproven potential. Sure, they could be good. They might not be good, though. It's the unknown, what could be. I've had enough of it. Just make a bold move. Do something that shows that you are truly serious about winning, because this is 3 years now we're going to be looking at here, Dan. We're 10 days out from the trade deadline. And Farhan's, he's on other radio stations talking about, we might have to sell. I think selling or standing pat would basically be your way of saying, I'm not going to be back next year. Because it's 3 years of this nonsense. And if they do stand pat and do nothing, it's just like, why even bother at that point? Training camps could be starting up. Football season, basketball season would be right around the corner. If on August 1st, the Giants have stood pat at the deadline and not doing anything, goodbye. We'll see you next year. Like, that's what it's going to be for them. That's where they're gonna fall on the ladder of relevancy here in the Bay Area.
Yeah, I think this whole idea of mortgaging the future, damn right, mortgage the future. How about winning today? And so this Eldridge kid, anybody else that I've heard about, I'm sorry, man. If I can get Bo Bichette, who was established as a major league bona fide shortstop, I'm not talking about a third baseman. I'm talking about a second baseman. I'm not even talking about a corner outfielder. I'm talking about one of the, if not the key position in Major League Baseball at just about every level. You can have whoever it is that you want. Eldridge be damned. See you later, kid. Anybody else that Toronto wants to take from my minor league system, it is all yours. Because you need to put a team on the field right now that can win today. I'm with you there. And the San Francisco Giants, however, I will say, despite everything that we've talked about over the last 10 minutes and riling on this team, I don't know what it is, but I just feel as though there's, and maybe we can revisit this conversation in a couple of months and you can laugh at me, but I do feel as though there's something left in this team when we get to the stretch.